Alrighty, well, I guess where to begin with this story. I guess for starters, a little bit of background on myself. My name is Jake Larmew. I live and farm here in southeast Nebraska with my wife's family. Being in the agriculture industry for an outdoor enthusiast like myself can be tough. I mean, the two worlds seem to mesh well together, but they also butt heads this time of year. You know, fall is really busy for us, so sometimes hunting just kind of falls to the back of your mind. I guess it doesn't fall to the back of your mind, but it's not priority. And most years in particular, you know, the weather will give me a break or so. I'm able to get in the stand and kind of scratch that deer hunting itch a little bit, I guess, to keep me sane. This year in particular though, the 2020 season, harvest was pretty much straight through work. We didn't really have any sort of break. I think I sat one time during harvest, and I was able to lay eyes on the buck that you've seen in the thumbnail that night. So let's fast forward to November 5th, 2020. That is our last day of corn harvest and harvest as a whole. Our last 40 acres was on the main farm where I do 90% of my deer hunting. And so while we were back there, I figured while I was back by the food plot, I'd go ahead and swap SD cards on a mock scrape that I had in there and see what we had running around. Since harvest was over, I'd have some more free time to hunt. So in a typical year on this farm's usually pretty hot early season. You know, in the summer months when bucks are in velvet, this property seems to be holding some good ones. You know, it gives me high hopes for the season, but then they typically make their fall transition, they move out. This year was almost a flip. All summer long, had some young deer, some nice deer, but nothing that got me too terribly excited to hunt. I kept hoping as bucks were making their fall transitions, moving around, crops come out, I'd have a shooter show up, and that's exactly what happened. On November 5th, when I made that final card pull, there was a big, gnarly 6x5 on camera that I really wanted to get another good look at. In fact, I knew if I seen him, I was probably gonna shoot him. So, fast forward to the next morning. The next morning, I crawl into the stand right where I had pictures of that 6x5. He'd been there the previous morning on that mock scrape. I had high hopes. He didn't show that morning. In fact, I only seen 2 deer that morning. It was one 2-year-old broken up, 4-point chasing a doe. So that was a Friday hunt for me. My wife, she's a full-time nurse. She works every other weekend. So the weekend was pretty much out of question for me, as I'd be spending the weekend with our 8-month-old daughter. That's all right. We've been dealing with some unseasonably warm temperatures. I'm talking 75, 80 degrees first week in November. So I was gonna take that Saturday to get some harvest equipment cleaned up and put away. With the strong south wind that came with them warm temps, I figured it'd be a good opportunity that Saturday midday to slip in and check a couple of the trail cameras on the north side of the property to see if that 6x5 had been hanging out in there. When I did that, I did find that he'd been in there pretty regularly. In fact, he was there the night before shooting light, the night before that shooting light, and so forth, along with a real mature, gnarly 8-pointer, not the highest scoring deer, but he was a mature buck. I'd have been more than happy to wrap my tag around him. So let's fast forward to that Saturday evening, November 7th, 2020. After showing the pictures to my wife's parents of the deer and how regular they had been in on that one spot, The wind was perfect that night. They told me I needed to go sit. They were nice enough to watch my daughter. So that's what I did. After work was finished for that day, I went home, got my stuff around, and I climbed into the stand. So I climbed into the stand about 2:30 that afternoon. Even though it was warm as heck and the wind was gusting at 20 to 30 mile an hour, it's the rut. You never know what to expect. And I started seeing deer movement right away. I could see some does stirring up, moving around on the edge of that bedding area. And this proved to be from a wily bobcat chasing rabbits around real close to them. Anyways, fast forward to the rest of the evening, the does, they settled back down, and then you started to see your typical movement from bedding to food coming by me. Lots of does, one nice 3-year-old buck running does, and that was pretty much that night. So Sunday that day was going to be no different than Saturday. Warm as all get out, wind blowing, even stronger than it was the day before. Decided to take that day off and just spend the day at home. Knowing that my wife was going to have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off, and it was known that I was going to be in the stand hitting it hard because it's the first week of November, the rut's on, and I was going to try to get it done before the Nebraska firearms season started this next weekend. So Monday morning, November 9th, 2020, the morning it all comes together. I get into the stand fairly early. I wanted to be all set up and ready to go. Temperatures are still unseasonably warm. It was like 65 degrees that morning. The wind had not let up, 20, 30 mile an hour, still blowing, but I was there. It was the rut, and the first deer I seen that morning was the one that made my day. Well, good morning, guys. First chance I've had to get to talk to you this morning. It is November 9th, peak of the Nebraska rut here, and got out for a morning bow hunt. Conditions were not ideal. It's about 70 degrees. I know on November 9th, that's crazy. Wind's blowing at 25 to 30 mile an hour all morning long, but we got an arrow in one. I am not crazy about the hit. I'm in here self-filming. I tried to watch the footage on this camera here, and I just can't quite tell what it is. I did find first blood, but it looks pretty good. But I'm gonna give the deer the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't crazy about how he acted after I shot. I'm gonna back out of here, go home, blow the footage up, and hopefully we can get back in here for recovery. So, overcast conditions, first thing in the morning. It's about 7 o'clock when I made that shot, and for the life of me, just looking on the viewfinder of the camera, I was completely unsure of where I had hit. The shot sounded good, the mule kick looked good, but the way he acted after the shot had got off, after he got out 20, 30 yards from when he first ran, it really made me nervous. He put his tail up like he was spooked, like it was flagged, and typically, I guess that's not a great sign to me. So I elected to back out, went back to my house. Dylan met me here, we reviewed footage, and then it started to rain. We figured we'd better get out there and try to make a recovery before all our blood was washed. So during the recovery, you're going to see me have my black lab on a leash near me. For a few years now, I've been training him to be a blood trailing dog, but he just hasn't had much live action. Not a lot of experience. And with the shot being unsure, you know, I wanted to keep him tight. I wanted to include him in the experience and get him the experience, but I wasn't ready to give him full run out ahead of us, you know, overturning leaves, covering up blood potentially. And so that's why you see me have him on my side and really just me taking charge of the track, but including him in the process. So I wanted to clarify that before people were wondering, you know, why I wasn't letting this dog do his job. He was there to get the experience, and that was that.
No, but there's a lot of it, and it's on both sides. I mean, it's pretty consistent. Meat blood ain't gonna bleed like that. There's blood right there. Yep.
It's real cloddy right there, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
That ain't meat, is it? That's lung clots. Alright guys, well, we've made it about 60 yards in our track, and we just recovered my arrow, and with my arrow was this big pool of blood, some bubbles in it, whatnot. I don't think he's going to be real far. This is a good sign. See a good blood trail taking off behind us, and we're going to go find this deer. Find it.
Hey.
Oh, he didn't make it far at all, dude.
I'm sorry, I should have let you see it yourself, but
How long did you know he was there?
probably 30 seconds.
Oh. Hey, yeah. Oh, dude, look at that shot. Dude.
That's a big deer, Jake.
He's mature. He's mature for sure. Come here, bud. Come on. Come on. Sit. Oh, he's been dead for a while. Dude. I could have come and looked for him right away.
You could have.
He's stiff as can be.
That's what it's about, man.
All right, guys, well, here he is. This is my first deer I've ever killed on camera. I'm really excited. It's been a goal of mine for a few years now to get it done, self-filming, and it finally all came together this morning. It is November 9th. It's 70 degrees. The wind is howling. Conditions aren't ideal, but it is the rut, and caught this boy cruising through the woods. He gave me a 34-yard shot, and I made it count. I'm guessing we got heart and some lung. We were unsure of the shot. I backed out. We went back to my house. Dylan, who's behind the camera, he met me there. We blew it up on the computer. Really couldn't tell just from the graininess of the footage, which you guys have seen. Low light, first light, and just really couldn't tell, but the rain started to pick up, and we decided we better get out here and get a track job in, and it didn't take long. I think we went 70 yards, and here he laid. So I can't thank you guys enough for watching our videos and stuff, and this deer means so much to me. Like I said, I've been on this filming journey for a few years now. Put some turkeys on film, put some ducks and geese on film, but just haven't been able to get it done with a nice Nebraska whitetail. But here we lay. So I can't thank you guys enough. Make sure to like, subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.